Did you know that presidential elections have historically caused a dip in home sales, with some analysts noting up to a 15% decline in transaction volume? This drop is largely fueled by uncertainty as buyers and sellers adopt a wait and see attitude, unsure about how political shifts could impact their financial futures. Imagine sitting on the verge of buying your dream home, but wondering whether the next administration's policies could make or break your investment. This is the reality for many during every election cycle. Every 4 years, America is gripped by the excitement and tension of presidential elections, and with each election comes a profound ripple effect across various sectors of the economy. The housing market is no exception. Whether it's driven by concerns over mortgage rates, tax reforms, or regulatory changes, the mere anticipation of who will take office can trigger shifts in buyer and seller behavior. But how does an event as politically charged as a presidential election directly influence the real estate market? And what should buyers, sellers, and investors be aware of during these times? Elections are not just about politics. They often serve as a pivotal moment for economic change. In the housing market, this change can manifest in fluctuating home prices, slowed sales, and even shifts in consumer confidence that affect the very foundation of real estate transactions. In this deep dive, we'll explore the multifaceted impact of presidential elections on the housing market. We'll look at historical trends, examine the relationship between economic policy and real estate, and provide insights into how the upcoming election might affect your next big real estate decision. Presidential elections introduce an element of uncertainty, and uncertainty is one of the biggest enemies of the housing market. While real estate markets thrive on stability, stable interest rates, predictable economic growth, and clear tax policies, elections can throw all of these factors into question. The challenge, then, is understanding how the political shifts that follow an election influence home prices, buyer confidence, and the overall health of the housing market. For homeowners looking to sell, the dilemma is clear. It is better to sell before the election when the current administration's policies are in full effect. But should they wait and see how the new president's policies might affect demand? Buyers face similar concerns. Should they rush to lock in a mortgage now, fearing that interest rates might rise if the new president adopts stricter monetary policies? Or should they wait in hopes that a new administration will implement tax reforms or incentives that make home ownership more affordable? These uncertainties, fueled by speculative media coverage and political rhetoric, often lead to a slowdown in market activity during election years. The challenge is twofold. First, understanding the broader impact of political changes on economic conditions. And second, predicting how these changes will affect individual real estate decisions. 1. Historical trends. What happens to the housing market during election years? Looking back, there are clear historical patterns that emerge in the housing market during presidential election years. Data from CoreLogic and Zillow show that home sales tend to slow in the months leading up to an election, only to rebound once the results are clear. This phenomenon can be attributed to the uncertainty surrounding elections, as potential buyers and sellers pause their transactions waiting for political clarity. For example, during the 2012 presidential election, Redfin reported a noticeable dip in home sales in October, just before the election. However, after the results were announced, sales activity surged in the following months as buyers and sellers regained confidence in the market's future. According to research by Adam Data, home price appreciation also tends to slow during election years. rising by an average of only 1.5% compared to the non-election year average of 5.3%. This slowdown in price growth is often due to reduced buyer demand, as many potential home buyers prefer to hold off on making a large financial commitment during uncertain times. 2. Impact of policy and regulation. Presidential elections bring with them the potential for significant policy changes, many of which directly affect the housing market. Whether it's changes in taxation, regulations governing home loans, or broader economic policies like wage growth and job creation, the election outcome can shape real estate markets for years to come. One major area of concern is how a new president's economic platform might influence housing affordability. If a president enacts policies that prioritize wage growth and job creation, we may see an increase in housing demand, particularly from first-time homebuyers. However, if a president's policies include reducing federal support for housing programs, such as cuts to mortgage interest deductions or limiting affordable housing initiative, this could have the opposite effect. A prime example of this was seen in the 2017 tax reform passed under the Trump administration. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act placed limits on the mortgage interest deduction, particularly for homeowners in high-cost states like California and New York, which led to a noticeable slowdown in these markets. While the tax reforms may have spurred economic growth in other areas, their impact on the housing market was mixed, leading to reduced buyer demand in high-tax states. 3. The role of monetary policy and interest rates. While the Federal Reserve operates independently from the presidency, elections often shift expectations around interest rates. The possibility of rising interest rates is a major concern for homebuyers, as even a slight increase in rates can significantly raise monthly mortgage payments. During an election year, the Federal Reserve may be hesitant to make major changes in interest rates, preferring to maintain stability until the election dust settles. However, once the election is over, the new administration's economic policies could prompt the Fed to take action, whether by raising interest rates to combat inflation or by lowering them to stimulate growth. For instance, the 2020 presidential election took place in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, a time of unprecedented economic uncertainty. The Federal Reserve responded by cutting interest rates to near zero levels to keep the economy afloat. This had a profound impact on the housing market, driving a surge in home sales as buyers rushed to take advantage of historically low mortgage rates. Conversely, if a new administration prioritizes deficit reduction and curbs government spending, the Federal Reserve may feel pressured to raise interest rates to control inflation, which could cool the housing market. This makes understanding the link between elections and monetary policy critical for those navigating the real estate landscape. 4. Consumer confidence, the psychological impact of elections. Elections aren't just about policies. They also have a profound psychological effect on consumers. When people feel uncertain about the future, they tend to pull back on large financial decisions, such as purchasing a home. A study from the University of California found that during election years, consumer confidence often dips as political campaigns ramp up. The heightened uncertainty around future policies leads potential homebuyers to delay their purchases, contributing to a slowdown in market activity. This is particularly true in closely contested elections, where the outcome is unclear until the last moment. However, once the election results are finalized, Consumer confidence tends to rebound, often leading to a surge in real estate activity as the market adjusts to the new political reality. According to Zillow, this post-election bounce was especially pronounced in 2016 as the market quickly rebounded after months of uncertainty. 5. Tax policy, the effect of elections on home ownership costs. Tax policy is a key area where presidential elections can have a lasting impact on the housing market. Changes to property tax regulations, capital gains taxes, or tax credits for home ownership can either incentivize or discourage home purchases and investments. A clear example of how elections influence tax policy and, by extension, the housing market came with the 2016 election and the subsequent Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. This legislation had far-reaching consequences for homeowners, particularly those in states with high property taxes. By capping state and local tax deductions at $10,000, the law made homeownership in high-tax states like New Jersey and New York more expensive, cooling demand in these regions. While the tax cuts benefited many, they also altered the housing landscape, particularly for high-end properties. Moving forward, elections could bring further changes to tax policy that affect housing markets. Proposals like eliminating the mortgage interest deduction entirely, increasing capital gains taxes on real estate investments, or introducing new incentives for affordable housing are all possibilities that hinge on the political outcomes of future elections. One of the most significant moments that demonstrates the impact of elections on the housing market occurred during the 2008 presidential election. As the U.S. economy reeled from the housing crash and subsequent Great Recession, the election of Barack Obama ushered in a new era of economic policies designed to stabilize the market and help struggling homeowners. At the time, housing prices were plummeting, foreclosures were at an all-time high, and the broader economy was in freefall. The Obama administration's response included a series of stimulus packages, government-backed loan modifications, and regulatory reforms aimed at stabilizing the housing market. These policies, while controversial at the time, played a crucial role in the eventual recovery of the housing sector, setting the stage for years of growth. This key moment serves as a vivid illustration of how presidential elections and policies that follow can have a profound and lasting impact on the housing market, especially in times of crisis. The connection between presidential elections and the housing market is both complex and significant. Whether it's the uncertainty leading up to the election, the policies enacted by the new administration, or the broader economic impacts of political change, elections have the power to shape real estate trends in substantial ways. By understanding these dynamics, home buyers, sellers, and investors can better navigate the often turbulent waters of election years. From changes in interest rates and tax policies to shift in consumer confidence, the effects of a presidential election can ripple through the housing market long after the votes are counted. While it's impossible to predict the exact outcomes of every election, history provides valuable lessons on what to watch for and how to prepare. Whether you're a homeowner looking to sell, a buyer considering your next big move, or an investor gauging the market, being aware of how elections impact real estate can give you an edge. In particular, understanding the historical patterns and the specific economic policies tied to each administration is crucial. Factors like mortgage rates, tax policies, and consumer confidence can shift dramatically based on who takes office and the broader political landscape. While the housing market may experience a temporary slowdown during the months leading up to an election, it often rebounds quickly once political uncertainty clears, leading to renewed activity and opportunity. So, what do you think? Will the upcoming election drive another surge in housing prices or cause a cooling off period? How do you expect the next administration's policies to impact your local real estate market? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're thinking of buying or selling a home right now, might be the time to plan ahead. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to check out my other videos on real estate, or if you'd like, subscribe to my channel for more tips and navigating the real estate market with confidence and security. My name is Giovanna, and I'm with the Signatory Group. Thanks for watching.